First up, the heart health benefits of green tea. Looking at this study of 55 randomized clinical trials, LDL or bad cholesterol dropped by about 6 points, and HDL increased by about 2 points, and that's the good cholesterol. So that's the type of results we would want to see. Next is blood pressure. This meta-analysis looked at 9 randomized clinical trials, and the blood pressure number on the top, the systolic, dropped by about 3 points, and the one on the bottom, diastolic, dropped by about 1 point. Next, heart attacks and strokes. In an analysis of 39 prospective cohort studies, cardiovascular disease events like heart attacks decreased by 2%, and strokes also decreased by about 4% for each daily cup of green tea. The next category we're looking at is metabolic benefits. This study again, which analyzed 55 randomized clinical trials, fasting blood glucose dropped by about 2 points. Also, there was a reduction in HbA1c. Next, weight management. In this analysis of 15 randomized clinical trials, body weight dropped by about 3 pounds, and waist circumference dropped by about 3/4 of an inch in the group that consumed green tea catechins with caffeine. Now, the group that had the green tea catechins without the caffeine did not see these results. So the caffeine was obviously a major player in this one. Next, brain function. In this systematic review looking at 21 scientific studies, they saw decreases in anxiety, increases in memory and attention, and activation of working memory. And a quote from the paper here: "The effects of green tea cannot be attributed to a single constituent of the beverage." And that's an important point, because in this paper, the authors write that tea contains almost 4,000 phytochemicals. So to be overly reductionistic and say, well, green tea is high in EGCG, so I'm going to take an EGCG supplement. Well, that may seem like a good idea, but you're missing the other 3,999 or so phytochemicals that would be present in fresh-brewed green tea by doing that. Next up, flu prevention, and this one surprised me. A systematic review and meta-analysis of 5 randomized controlled trials found that there was a 33% reduced risk of influenza in those who consumed green tea. The reason that shocks me so much is because the actual flu vaccine itself is about 40 to 60% effective at best. So in years when the vaccine strains are not antigenically well matched with the circulating viruses, the flu vaccine is potentially less effective than green tea. The biggest benefit of green tea is that it appears to reduce the risk of death from any cause. In this analysis of 39 prospective cohort studies, each daily 8-ounce cup of green tea was associated with a 1.5% lower risk of death from any cause. And it appears that the bulk of that benefit is a consequence of a reduction in cardiovascular death specifically. So how much green tea did the people in these studies drink? It did vary from one study to another, but it was roughly 2.5 to 4 cups of green tea per day in terms of equivalence, because most of the people received some sort of a supplement like a green tea extract or green tea catechins. So to take that information and translate it into the number of cups of fresh brewed green tea is not a straightforward thing. There's no standardization between these doses of supplements. And what I can say is, according to everything I read, it appears that 5 cups a day is the high end of the normal range. And if you exceed that, you run the risk mainly, I think, of consuming too much oxalate. Each cup of green tea has about 96 milligrams of oxalate. The reason that's a problem is because oxalate can bind to calcium to form kidney stones. Another thing, oxalate can bind to iron and prevent its absorption. So if you have iron deficiency anemia, that can be a big problem. But also consider that one serving of spinach has about 500 to 800 milligrams of oxalate. So next, what is the magic of green tea? Well, it appears to be antioxidants, but specifically EGCG. I have an antioxidant guide which you can download for free by clicking the link in the description, and I list 4 beverages in that guide, and green tea has the lowest concentration of antioxidants out of all 4 beverages listed, yet it has all these remarkable benefits. Why is that? We think it's because of the EGCG content. EGCG stands for epigallocatechin 3-O-gallate, which is just a particular polyphenol. And if you go to the Phenol Explorer website, you can see which food items have the highest content of EGCG. And if you zoom in there, you can see green tea, Fresh-Brewed has the most. And bottled green tea has only about a third of the EGCG content of Fresh-Brewed green tea. So you don't want that. You want the fresh stuff. So does decaffeination strip green tea of its antioxidants? You would think since caffeine is being stripped out of the tea leaf, maybe some other things are being lost as well. Now, according to Harvard School of Public Health, there are two methods of decaffeination, and basically one is good and one is bad. The bad one is the chemical solvent-based method, and the good one is effervescence, which uses water and carbon dioxide. And with that one, most of the polyphenols remain in the tea leaves. Now, also according to the Harvard School of Public Health, you need to either check the package label or contact the manufacturer to find out which process they use for their decaffeinated green teas. I found this obscure kind of paper. It's looks like a master's thesis written by a student at University of Wisconsin Stout back in 2008, and they analyzed 3 different decaffeinated green teas among some other things. But what they found in the decaffeinated products was that Bigelow had the highest EGCG concentration. And if you go to Bigelow's website, you'll see that they tout the fact that they currently use a CO2 decaffeination process, which retains most of the polyphenols. So that would be a good mainstream option for most people. Now, if you look at this paper, which analyzes the quality and the heavy metal composition of different green tea products, you'll find that the highest quality green tea is South Korean Gencha, and the second highest quality is Japanese Matcha, Agari, or Sencha. And it says to avoid tea from China and India, as samples from China and India contained the highest concentrations of toxic heavy metals. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely enjoy this next video. Please click here, and if you're a fan, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. See you next time.